Good evening, everybody. Hopefully, if everything is working okay, we are now live on our Facebook page and with you all. If you're there and you're watching, please, as always, give us a little wave or a hello so we know that we're live and it's all working. I tell you this every week when I'm waiting for people to come on, and I've seen so many other people do the same little chit chat, but it's always kind of scary when we don't know if it's working or it isn't. So if you're the first on with us, please let us know that you can hear us, you can see us, and that everything's working, because it's always lovely to know that you're there. We have, as always, started just a couple of minutes early. I should never tell you that, because if I tell you that, then I've always got to start early and I'm going to have to get earlier and earlier and earlier just to test before we officially go live. But I always like to get here a couple of minutes early just to make sure that everything is working so that we're live for 7 when we should be, because of course that's the time we advertise. Now I can see that we have got a lovely Wendy with us. Good evening, Wendy. Lovely to have you here. I hear you've had a crafty day at Lynn's. Hope it's been productive and that you've enjoyed it. Haven't yet seen any photos of what you've been making, so I'm sure there are some, but I haven't yet checked, so I'll have to have a little look later. Evening, Judy. How are we in Colorado? Colorado's hot, isn't it? Are you still hot now? I don't know. Is it hot? Colorado, I'm sure that's a warm state, isn't it? You're going to have to tell us, Judy. Are you warm?
Go, yeah.
What's it like? I'm sure you'll have to Google if Judy don't tell us, but I'm sure it's a warm state. I'd like to be in a warm state. It's freezing here. And I know we shouldn't grumble because it's December and it's the UK and that's what it's all about. But it is proper bitter. Proper. We went out for a little walk earlier.
Oh, did you now?
Yeah. Went for a little walk along the seafront. Very, very lovely, but very, very blustery, proper chilly, but nice though, nice to see. Evening, Maureen. Evening, Samantha. Hello, Kim, and welcome, Diane. Diane, that little thing you've made today, oh, honestly, it's blown me away. Truly, your creations are just out of this world. So pleased to see that being shared and lovely to see what you've been creating. So thank you for that. So obviously we're all here and we seem to be working, and I think we've hit 7 p.m. So I suppose we ought to start telling you all of the ins and outs of what's going on this evening then, shouldn't we? So we asked on our poll, I nearly said quiz, on our poll earlier today, what you would like to see demonstrated tonight. Can you hear my cat? You might hear my cat. My cat's appearing at the door where we are and making that sound like he's being murdered. I promise you he isn't. That's the where is everybody? I need to say hello to somebody. Meow. I'm sure he'll be fine, but he does like to be slightly dramatic. I don't know where he gets it from, but he is slightly dramatic when it comes to trying to find somebody for some attention. So we asked now, you can stop smirking over there. It's not something he's inherited from me. I can see the eyes, Peter.
There's no eyes.
We haven't yet said hello to Pete, have we? Let's say hello to Pete before I forget.
Yeah.
Say hello, Pete.
Hello, all. How are we doing? Are we all okay? You're making Diane blush. So.
Oh, am I? Oh, you shouldn't blush, but genuinely amazing creations. I see a comment from Lynn earlier saying how you was her crafty hero, and I thought, well, that's a very apt title. Genuinely, we're so lucky on our little group to see all the amazing people who share. But Diane, yeah, especially incredible talent. So yeah, we asked on a poll earlier today what you'd like to see us demonstrate tonight, and we asked you about Floral Wonder, Kaleidoscope Collection, Cosmos Collection, Christmas, and I think the vote really won that you'd like to see a little bit of everything. So I promise I'm not going to waffle for too long and we'll get demo in so we can show you some inspiration. But I've sort of packed my drawer, because I keep them all in a little drawer beside me, packed the drawer out full of all different random things. So we'll just have a play and see what we get up to. But as always, we would like to give away whatever we create, because that's always kind of nice. It's a nice little thank you for you all joining us. So we'll pick one lucky winner. I say we, it'll be Pete. I always make him do that, so I'm like anonymous and not, you know, being biased. But Pete will pick a winner by the end of the little live that we do tonight. So our question of this week, this is a fun one for you. We always go back and forth for hours over what we're going to ask you when we remember to ask you, but we have remembered to do it in advance tonight. So what we would like to know is, on your wish list to Father Christmas, what Jamie Rodgers Crafts product or products are on your list. So let us know in the comments what's on your list that you would like to find under the tree on Christmas morning. So it's just a silly question, really, just to get you playing along, and we'll pick one lucky winner to win whatever we make. How does that sound? Is that all right? Good. So then, I thought we would start off, and this is what I want to show you. I'm going off on a tangent. I thought we'd have a bit of a blue evening tonight. So all of the cards I've picked Yeah, no, sounds wrong, doesn't it?
It does.
But we're going to have a blue evening. All of the cards we're going to make are blue. You don't have to make them in blue if you don't want to. And blue is in the colour, nothing else. Although they cover different themes, but we are going to stick to the shade family of blue. But before we do that, I want to show you this. Pete went and collected this on his way home from our lovely Lynn Lewis. And I'm going to try and get this over without damaging it or moving it too much. But this is absolutely breathtakingly incredible. And I wanted to show it to you on a live so you could see it in all its glory. Now, I have a feeling that Lynn has blogged this, if I remember rightly. I'm trying to remember. Oh, actually, if I remember, I think there's a video coming as well. If I ever edit it, I've got to edit it. Pete's looking at me like he's very confused. But I think there is like a little sped up time-lapsey video-y bit to show you how some of it's gone together. But there's more content coming to back up how it was done is what I'm telling you. But Lynn has created this and I just thought this was breathtaking. I'm going to try and lift it up so you can see it in more detail. The bit in the middle hangs freely, so it sort of moves, which is really, really cool. And she's created the middle part with our poinsettia petals, which is the die set where you can literally pick and move in and place whichever pieces of the flowers you would like to. Under that, she's put some of the winter foliage, and you can see a couple of different bits on that. Underneath that, whoa! See, I said to Lynn, I'm not going to damage this. I said, I'm going to borrow it for the live, and I promise you I'm not going to damage it. And
I was more worried about the journey home.
On camera, throwing it around. Shh, you weren't on camera. You could get away with this. It's me who's the one who's sort of got evidence to this. So on the top here, and then on the actual backing of it, and I'm going to try and show you this, she's used one of our MDF plaques and she's painted that green. Around the edge, while we're here, she's used one of the hangers from the, what do we call them?
Balloon mobile or
that's the word,
butterfly
thank
mobile.
you, Pete. Yeah, the mobile. She's used one of the hangers from the mobile. I'm going to try and hold it so you can see what I mean. But she's used that to make the base of this. So it's two different things coming together. And then not only has she built up the middle part of it, she's used the classic poinsettia all the way around the edges with the different foliage pieces. And then on the top of that, she's used our lovely gemstones texture paste in diamond white. Now, I don't know about you, but this really blew me away. I thought that was absolutely incredible. And to be able to hang that on your door, inside or outside, as long as it's not going to get wet or damp, I suppose, but just beautiful, an incredible creation that would make anyone happy to see, wouldn't they? Beautiful, beautiful work. And I wanted to show you that on our live so you could actually really see it, because it is monumentally beautiful. So share some love for Lynn in the comments. Let us know how much you like that too, because it's always lovely to give credit to the creators. We're so lucky. We've got an amazing design team. I'm sure many of you know this already, but we have got Lynn, Ian, Wendy and Sharon, and they're just amazing. And the things they come up with and the way they think outside the box and what they create genuinely blows my little mind. So yeah, lovely to see. Lynn says, don't worry that I just throw it and break it. I won't, honestly. It'll be fixed and it'll be fine. It's not broke, but if I broke it, I'd fix it, because it's too lovely. I said to her, Lynn was so kind. She said to me, would you like to keep it to show and have as a sample? And I was like, no, there is just too much work gone into that. It's too beautiful for me to have it just for this. So I wanted to show you on a live and then let Lynn have it back so she could display it over Christmas, because there's too much work gone into that for me. But really, really lovely. Mary would like the tile stamps and a something. I'm not too sure what the something is, Mary, but that's nice. Tile stamps is good. So have you all been keeping up with us this week? We've had a very busy week this week while I get my kit out. I don't know if you've been paying attention. You might have missed it. I know what life's like. We sort of miss these things, don't we? We blink and miss them. What are you chuckling at over there?
I wonder what I heard then when you said about getting my kit out. I thought you said something else.
No, just the kit, Peter. Keep it clean.
Sorry. You missed Deborah. Sorry, you missed Deborah's comment. She'd like you to go to her house and give her a free card demo. She's got everything in your collection.
Oh, that'd be lovely. I'd like to do that. I'd like to tour the world.
Get rid of him for the day, Deborah.
That's not very nice, Peter. Right. It's not very nice at all. You'd come anyway. You'd bring cake, I'm sure. We'd all end up there. A little party. We should do that. We should do a little tour around the country, see who we can go and see, all the world.
Could have a little bus.
Little bus.
You know, like the X Factor bus. Jamie's coming. Have a little picture on the
X
side.
Factor bus. I don't know if we need quite a big bus or my picture anywhere near it, but okay. So what was I on about? I was waffling, weren't I? So yeah, this week we've had a very busy week. I hope you've all been sort of keeping an eye on what we've been up to. We kicked off the week by opening the Craft Stash Black Friday promotions, I suppose, for want of a better term. And we had like a 3-hour live on Monday, didn't we? Well, that was pretty cool. If you haven't seen it already, pop back to the Craft Stash page. Not now, stick with us for a little while if you don't mind, and if you want to. But if you haven't seen it, do check that out. It's on the Craft Stash Facebook page. And it was about 3 hours, and we covered loads of different tips and techniques and collections. We went through a lot of different collections with them, and they've now become one of our stockists. So they're carrying quite a few of our lines, and more will be added shortly. And then on Tuesday, we went up to Highlight Crafts, and we had a couple of hours on Highlight Crafts, bringing you inspiration from the Kaleidoscope collection and the Cosmos flower set. So it's been a very busy week for us, very enjoyable week, and lovely to sort of see you all on different platforms and in different places and see that sort of growing everything together, which is really lovely. But if you haven't seen the Highlight Craft shows, then you can catch up with them on my page because they're also broadcast on there, or you can pop over to the Highlight Crafts website or the Highlight Crafts Facebook page, and you can catch up with them on there as well. So all kind of cool, and lots to sort of share with you and make sure you're seeing. So we're going to do this card. Let's show you where we're going. This is the one that we're going to work on to begin with. Let's give you a little flash of this. This is a card I've had in kit form for a while now, and I've been waiting to do this. I thought we might have a little Christmas themed night, but tonight I think we'll do a little bit of Christmas in and amongst everything else. So we'll have a play with this one and see how it comes together. It's really easy, but kind of fun and kind of blue, and it was all about the blue tonight. So I thought we would have a little look at this one and see what we can create. So we're going to start off with a piece of our Night Sky Navy cardstock. This is our 300 GSM Elite cardstock, and we're going to bring in our stencil. Now, I have sillily forgot to look up the names of these, Peter, so please help me by telling me the names as we go through this, because I will forget, or have forgot already, because that's what my brain's like.
One.
So we're on Snow Flurry. The one we're going to bring in as well is this one, which is our lovely Snowflake stencil. And is that just called Snowflake stencil?
Snowflakes.
Yeah. Oh, that's easy. Even I can remember that. Snowflakes and Snow Flurry. And we're going to use our Gemstones texture paste, and we're going to use Diamond White for this. And I'm going to treat us to a brand new pot because I use so much of this, and I'd like you to see how these work. So when you receive your Gemstones texture paste, of course, you've got the external lid on it to keep it nice and fresh, but on the inside you will also find you've got a foil lid. Now, I do recommend that you keep these in place. You don't have to, it's not the end of the world, but if you can, it's just a really good way to keep them fresh because we've got that extra foil and that extra cover in place to make sure this stays nice and juicy and ready to use. And it also means that you're not going to end up with loads of product on the inside of your lid and not sort of as easy and as usable because of that little foil piece will keep it protected and out of the way. Now, I don't know, let's show you both stencils, shall we? I don't actually know why I've got this one out. So we'll just do a small amount of this one and we'll do a small amount of the other one as well. And this was more trying to show you variations of which stencils you could be using. So far we've only released 2 snowy stencils, and this card definitely needs a snowy stencil. So we'll do a little bit of both of them and you can pick which one you prefer. I've already got one dried with the Snowfall stencil, so we'll be using that for the completed project, but it'll be nice for you to see both of them. And we'll take that away so you can have a little look at that one. I love these. We'll hand that off to Pete so we can wash that one over. But this is our first one. So our lovely snowflakes. Now, I'm sure you've seen this and I'm sure you've seen me show you these before, but with the mixture of our stencils and our Gemstones texture paste, we get such a prominence on the finished result. Our stencils, I'm sure you've probably got this down to a T now, you know this better than I do, but these are cut from a slightly thicker mylar to traditional stencils, so they have an awful lot of depth to them. Team that with our really good sort of glitter texture paste, and between them it means that you've got some real nice depth going on to your project. And I also really like with the Diamond White one how you can colour it with so many different mediums and inks and bits. So if you want to add in before you've started applying it a Elite Mister, for instance, that would work really nicely, and you could create your very own sort of texture paste and colours. You've probably seen my video or reel this week where we take some of our texture pastes and we mix them together to make our own colours. We did a bit of that on the Highlight Craft shows as well, where we was taking our texture pastes and mixing them in with Elite Misters to create brand new unique styles. And that's something I really like to share with you and show you. So we'll just show you this one as well, and we'll hand that one off to Pete as well. So there is our lovely snowfall stencil. Snow flurry, sorry, yeah, Pete, thank you. So snow flurry stencil on this side, and this is the one that we're going to use on our demo, so you can see where that's come from when we get there. Have I missed any questions or anything so far while I'm yabbering on?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, good.
Kim would like an extension to a house.
Oh, an extension would be good, wouldn't it? I can share in that.
Make room for you.
Pardon?
Make room for all your goodies.
Is that what she said or what you're saying?
What she said.
Oh dear, sorry Kim. We do take over a bit. Oh, and I haven't teased you yet, have I? Should we do the first tease of the evening?
Oh God.
Next week, when we come back to you, so next Thursday night natter, brand new collection to introduce you to. Brand new. And we've got, I don't know, it's not huge because it's December and it's going to be, being honest with you, you know me, I honestly believe that telling you the truth is always the best policy. A lot of companies stop releasing products now through till mid-January-esque, I suppose, and that's been a lot of my experience. Not every company, not always, not every year, but usually they don't tend to release much from here on inwards for a lot of the companies. But we don't want to do that. We would like to carry on sort of rolling with our normal pattern and plan. So we're going to bring out a release next week, or it won't launch next week. We'll tease you with it next week, or give you the sneaky peeks. It will actually launch on Highlight Crafts on the 10th of December. 10th of December, yep. Tuesday, 10th of December. But we'll introduce it to you next Thursday, or introduce you to it, I don't know, next Thursday, and we'll tell you more about it. But yeah, so tune in for that one if you can, because it's kind of cool. But it is a smaller collection, which again helps a little bit, doesn't it? Because we don't always want to bring in massive collections that you know, of course, cost a little bit more because there's more in them. So this one's going to be slightly smaller. But again, I can't tell you too much. There are different pieces, so there's quite a lot, in fairness, but smaller main collection. And I'm going to stop talking because I'll get in trouble. So we're going to go on for the glue now, because I've already gone ahead and I've got my mats and layers done. So the card I'm using is 7.5 inches, if you would like to replicate this one exactly. I've gone on with another piece of the Night Sky Navy, which is 7.25, and then a 7-inch piece of the mirror board. And then on top of that, we're going to bring in our clear drying glue, and we're going to use one of our panels, which I've already done and dry, to go on it. I've just spotted, Pete, have you seen this? They've got a batch number for our glue on the middle of our label. I've not spotted that before. They've added that, haven't they? Sorry, coming off on a tangent. It's a brand new bottle, and I've done this just in case you've not seen our glue before. On the top here, it's got a sealed nozzle, and then you've got your over-the-top protector. We're just going to cut this so that the glue can come out, and we leave these sealed for you so that you can choose where you wish to cut it. So if you want a really fine amount of glue to come out of it, you can choose to do so. If you want to go for a wider nozzle so that more glue comes out of it, then you can choose to do so. And then of course you've got your protective cover to place over the top of it to make sure it stays fresh for longer. And then something else that we tend to not mention very often for some reason, but if you do fall in love with the glue, if you've had it and you love it and you want to use more of it, instead of buying the same bottles time after time, we also have for you giant bottles. And these are huge bottles. They are 1 litre bottles, and they work out at an incredible saving versus buying the smaller bottles. And if you don't believe that I mean they're huge, this is the original bottle. These are the big bottles. So as you can see, they're gigantic, and they are, I'm trying to remember now, Pete, are they 8 times the size?
Yes.
8 times the size. So it's the equivalent of buying 8 smaller bottles every time you buy 1 big bottle. They of course come with a nozzle on them. They've got a lid that you can sort of cap them off with as well. But being honest with you, you just take this one off and put that in there, give it a good squeeze, and then before you know it, this bottle's full and ready to go again. And you can do that 8 times out of every one of them. It does genuinely, I can't remember the maths off the top of my head, but these save you a small fortune on buying the smaller bottles.
Probably nearly half the price.
I think it's nearly half, isn't it? It is a huge saving.
Yeah.
And again, I'm like a parrot. You've probably heard me waffle on about this before, but if we can save you some pennies on where we can on things like glue, then to me that's a really good thing to do. because it gives us more pennies to spend on the other bits and bobs that we need to buy, doesn't it? So I see a question there, I feel. Did I miss it?
Yeah. About stencils?
Yeah, I see the word
A couple of people have
stencil.
asked about him, but can you run through embossing stencils again? Probably with a
Oh,
snowflake
yeah, of course we can. Yeah, we can do that. That's no problem.
Yeah, so, and I can't remember who else asked. Jean, I think.
Don't tell me you need snacking again.
I do, sorry.
Your one job
That was
is to
me, Jean
keep up with the
Pondy.
comments. One job, honestly.
Yep, sorry.
Do you see what I'll have to put up with you lot? Honestly. No, I'm kidding. It's not easy to natter and read, is it? I can't do it. Hence why we've got Pete here, so I can't moan at him. Bless him. He keeps me on track, which is good. So all I've done here is carried on building up my layers. So I'll give you a measurement for the silver so you can follow along with this if you'd like to. That's 5.5 inches squared, then 5.25 for the navy and 5 for the white. And then I've added another white layer that I've also dropped in here. That one's 5 inches. So we've got a white on white layer going on. And then we're going to bring in our corners, and we'll do this and then we'll go for the stencil embossing so that you can see that happening, and then I can clear the decks and show you everything in once. So our corners we are going to be using are our lovely snowflake corners. Now we are proper on a festive mood tonight, aren't we? So if you've not seen these, and I'm sure you have seen them, but if you've not seen them, these come with the X die, as I like to refer to it as, and then you've got your 4 corner panels. And these all fit and they're all identical, and you can either use these to cut in on their own, so they'll cut in and they'll stay in your card, or you can put them into the X die and send it through your machine, and then that will cut them out for you, and you will cut them out to have freestanding elements like so. Now, another thing I love with these is the ability to turn them into like little Christmas trees, photo corners and decorations. And if you're looking at this and thinking, well, that's lovely, but I've done my Christmas cards already, do not fear. There are snowflakes, there are butterflies, there's a regal pattern, which is just sort of generic for all year round. And then there's a holly one, which is really good for making your trees out of. If you cut the X die on its own, then that is going to cut the backing plates for you. So this beautiful panel that you can then layer your filigree panel onto. So you literally take that part, you take this part, you glue one on top of the other, and then you end up with the corners as we're going to be using them, just like so. And then with our corner designs, when we bring them to you in this format, we leave them with quite a big boxy end to them. And that's because that matches up with our line die. So if you want to bring these together and join them together with a line so that it makes a proper frame or a border, you can absolutely do that, because that line is cut on the striped line die. I don't know if I have bought that die up as well tonight. So this is the die I'm talking about. So this is your straight line die, and it cuts 2 different widths of line, because of the corners have 2 different size ends to them. So I think by memory, the butterfly one's the thinner one, the regal corner's the wider one, the snowflake is the wider one, the holly one is the thinner one. So this die covers you for both eventualities with all of the corners. So you've got the ability to join them together and turn them into frames if that's something you would like to do. So once we've got our 4 corners in place, which I've already done for speed, oh, the other bit I haven't mentioned is there's also a square die that comes around the outside of this. Now, I don't know which one comes with this one. I'm going to show you this one, but there are 4 different designs. This one is the postage one I've hooked off here, but on my board I just yo-yo between all of them, so please forgive me. But there is between the 4 sets, you end up with 4 different edges. You've got postage, you've got fluted, there is a decal one, and there is a scallop one, and these edges are where we took inspiration to do the nesting dies from, and these are different sizes to what you find in the nesting dies, so you're not doubling up anywhere, you're just getting more options to play with the more items you collect. And then we're going to bring in our 4 corners, and we're going to finish this card off nice and quickly for you, because I've got a few I'd like to give away tonight, so let's see if we can get a couple done. So we're going to bring the corners in, and we're going to place them onto this top layer of white card. So I told you all today that I've been out for a little walk. I have. It was a nice sunny day, although it was blusterily freezing. What have you all been up to today? Has anyone done anything Christmassy? Have you been doing anything crafty? What's been your activity today, or outing, or mission craft wise? What have we all been up to? Samantha, if you've left your lid off of your paste, and don't worry, we've all done that, haven't we? Everybody's left the lid off of something in time and forgot to do it. Do you know, my biggest problem, and this is the thing I'm most guilty of, is forgetting to wash things. like stencils and palette knives, and that tends to be my problem. But yeah, lids is another thing. We all do them, don't we? They are a water-based texture paste. I'm going to be honest with you, because again, honesty is the best policy. I've never had to revive one. We've been trialling ours now for 8 months, something along them lines. I've never had one dry out. I've kept that protective lid in place and put the lid on them. And I don't say that to pick on you, because it will happen. I'll do it too. You're not alone. But because of that, I've never had to fully try and revive or even attempt to revive one. But they are water-based. So through previous experience of other brands, I would say drop a few bits of water in it, a few droplets of water, leave it to soak in, and then give it a good stir. And if you find there's some movement within it, repeat the process until it comes back to life. And that should work for you. It might not. Not all chemicals and products can be revived, being honest. Some have different things that you can put in them. So, you know, like different polishes and different things. I've heard everything over the time, from nail varnish remover to white spirit, to all different sorts of bits you can put into different things. But this one being water-based, I think just water will, if it's going to come back, water will be the trick. If not, it might need to be replaced, to be honest with you. But see how you get on. And let us know, because if you can be our tester on that one for us, if you don't mind, because I haven't yet had that one. And it's always hard to have the answers to every problem or every question, but that's not one I've come across yet. Give it time, and we all will, I'm sure, because it's easily done, isn't it? And we'll pop that down in the middle. So again, we've gone in for one of our circle sayings. Now, our circle sayings, similar to our corners, come with all different edges to these two. So I've gone for the fluted edge, and I'm going to use the Merry Christmas on this card. On the original one, I used the Happy Christmas, but I thought it'd be nice to sort of swoop things up a little and go for Merry Christmas. There is also a Happy Birthday and with love as well somewhere. So it's hard to read them backwards, isn't it? When they're on a board like this, back to front and upside down. With love, Happy Birthday, Happy Christmas and Merry Christmas are the 4 options of those so far. And they again match the 4 edges. So you've got fluted edge, scallop edge, decal edge and postage edge. So we're going to bring one of these in and we're going to place that down in the centre so that we finish that part off. And then we're going to tie a little ribbon around this. And I shouldn't be doing this. Before I come upstairs to get ready for today's live, I was making a card and I sat there trying to tie the ribbon, and it took me 5 attempts to get the ribbon to look any good. And I sat there not getting angry, because I don't actually get angry with things, but more laughing at myself at how many times it took me to try and get it right and not getting it right. And on the 5th time, I was like, honestly, whatever happens with this ribbon, it's staying put. Whether it's right or wrong, saggy or baggy, it doesn't matter. It's staying in place. So I might be having a bad ribbon day. But no, I think that one's all right. I think that's okay. That's not too baggy or saggy. I think we're all right. So we'll give that a little pull. Now, I've probably gone on about this before, but whenever I'm pulling bows, I find if you put your thumbs in them and give them a good pull, you'll end up with rounder loops. A lot of times you see people make bows and they pinch down on the loops and pull them, and then you end up with relatively flat loops. It might just be all in my head, so don't laugh too much. But I just find you end up with a rounder loop and a nicer looking bow if you put your thumbs in it before you give it a little pull. And then we'll just give these a little trim off, and then we've got our first project or construction or whatever you wish to call it to give away in today's giveaway. So if you haven't already, let us know in the comments, what Jamie Rodgers Crafts product would you like to find under the Christmas tree on Christmas morning? If you haven't told us already, let us know in the comments and you'll be entered, and Pete will pick a winner at the end of this little video. Now I'm trying to see if I can move this over, because I do kind of like it when they go over the top of the items, but I didn't think to tie it there. So we'll see if we've got enough. Yeah, I think we've got enough movement. There we go. Just think then it looks like it's tying all of the sort of items together. So yeah, we'll go there instead, and that'll complete that little project for you. So as you can see, corners, stencils, circular bit in the middle, all coming together to create that. And please don't ask me the names, because I've clearly forgot them. We'll put them off to one side and we'll pick a winner to win one of those. Have we missed any other questions, Peter?
Alice and your lovely glue lady was asking what thickness of foam tape you use generally.
Oh, do you know what? Honestly, I've always been a 3mm kind of person. Always have. It's always been 3mm. Couldn't see the purpose in any of the others. Always stuck to 3mm. Then I found 1mm. And I was yabbering about this the other day somewhere on Highlight, I think. But we found 1mm. And I'm going to get me rolls. I've been using these, so forgive me, they're a bit smaller. But we found our big rolls, and these come in 1mm and 2mm. We do a 3mm foam tape, but it is honestly more expensive because it comes on a much smaller roll. And we also do that in a 2mm as well, don't we? 2mm, 3mm.
We do.
Yeah. 2mm, 3mm in a 5 metre roll. It's still cheaper than most brands because it's 5 metres, not 2. But they're not as cheap as our Pat Butcher earrings, as Pete refers to them as. Feel more like Princess Leia. But they come in 2mm and 1mm thickness, and on both rolls you get 50 metres. And I'm not just trying to tell you this to sell it to you, being honest with you. When we found these and I got the 1mm, I'm going through more 1mm than 2mm. And this is mostly because as postage gets higher and higher and higher, it's kind of nice to keep things lower, isn't it? I know we might still not fall into the lower categories, but if you're going to put bigger things on them as you build up through the layers, it's kind of handy to go for lower layers to begin with. And more, I'm finding that when I was using 3mm, there was a point you had to stop your layers because it just got a bit silly. You ended up with a pyramid and the card was like that thick. Where with 1mm, I can put in 3 times as many layers and still stand in the same place. So I'm not sure if that mathematically works out, but to me it gives me more ability. And I'm finding I'm actually using this more than I'm even using glue because I just like that little shadow the 1mm creates. So truthfully, 1mm for me personally at the moment, but I think it's one of them things we're going fits and fads of. Fits and fads of. But let us know. You're all here with us. We've got 30 of you with us currently. What's everyone's favourite? What do you all use at home? Are we 1mm, 2mm, 3mm? What are we using? I'm trying to find a bit of blue card because we'll show you how to emboss a stencil. I always find this is one of the things that people forget or haven't seen. And I genuinely love showing this because it opens so many doors to so many different things. Just basically value for money wise on what you can be creating with your stencils. Now I've picked this, I know Pete mentioned something about a snowflake one, but they all work in exactly the same way. So it doesn't matter which stencil you've got from us or anybody. Take your stencil, put it onto your board, put your card, or by board I mean like your cutting plates and that, and you're going to have to check on your machine's instructions because every machine has a different stack or sandwich. So you'll have to look up what your one's telling you because I don't want it to be too thick because if it's too thick your machine won't accept it. I'm using a Pro Cut, so for my one I need a 3mm plate. I'm going to bring in the stencil and place that down. I'm going to put the piece of card on top and then I'm going to put the rubber mat on top of that. And this really is the trick to remember. You need stencil, card, mat, because the mat will push down on the card and push it into the holes on the stencil. And if you can keep that stack in memory, that's the trick. And I forget it all the time and end up sending it through like that and thinking, well, why didn't it work? And it's because if I do it this way, I'm pushing the stencil down onto the card. Well, the card's on a hard surface, so that ain't going to do nothing. There's no push, there's no give. So if you remember stencil, card, mat, we should come up with some sort of little word for that, shouldn't we? Some sort of little rhyme. But this will then push it down. Then in this machine, you use the 5mm plate on the top and you send it through. So again, your mats might change because it's all about hitting the rollers in the middle of the machine with the right amount of pressure. But you just need to remember that you're going to have the stencil, the card, then the rubber mat. And the rubber mat's the bit that's going to push in and make that indentation for you. And although we talk about doing this with stencils, which of course is something we're using today, it doesn't have to just be with stencils. This can be with lots of different things, and we'll show you that in a second actually. So there is our impression. So we've gone through, that's pushed brilliantly down into the stencil, and we've got that embossed effect from our Cosmos stencil. Not only do we have an emboss, we also have a deboss. So you might choose to work on this side instead of the other side. It's up to you. One of my little tips here is if you can, leave your stencil in place when you do that and bring it out. And if you're going to work on the deboss side, so let's say, I think we're back in place already, which is kind of cool. If you then want to highlight this back panel, leave the stencil in place, and it will prevent the stencil from giving way. And then we'll bring in an ink. So we'll use Elephant Grey from the quick dry pigment inks, and we'll brush this over the top. And because of the stencil's still in place, the card isn't giving way. If the stencil wasn't there and we was pushing down normally, the harder we push down, the more the ink's going to go through, because we can now get to that lower level. But because the card's going to give way under the pressure that we're pushing down with, if we're nested back into our stencil, the stencil will act as a protective layer, and you're not going to squish any of your embossing, you're not going to lose any of your texture, and you can push down harder on the smaller areas and still find that all you're doing is adding ink to the top layer, not going through to the bottom. So it might be worth, if you're going to do that and you're going to plan ahead to do that style of technique, when you put your stencil through, instead of just leaving them loose, put a bit of tape on it. Even if you just do it on one side so there's still a bit of movement, put a bit of low tack tape on it, and then that way you're not going to have to worry about trying to match things up, or if it comes out, it'll still be in the right place for you to go over and ink again. And that can really make a big change to when you go over it. Gene, SCM sounds like a disease. Yeah, I thought that when I said that we need to come up with a code. We need to come up with a better code than that, don't we? Maybe like a little rhyme or something. I know on Craftstash the other day, because I really can't spell. You probably all know that already through reading my posts and bits. I genuinely can't spell. It's horrendous. And we were talking on Craftstash the other day how available is one of the words I can't say or spell. I can say it, can't spell it. And how I ask and I won't say the name in case any of you have gotten close, but our little speakers that we have, our little, talk to them and they tell you things and play your songs and that. And I was saying how I'm surprised my one of those hasn't sort of told me by now I should have learned how to spell that, because I ask it 10 times a day. And they were saying there that we needed to come up with like a little rhyme or something to help me remember it. It didn't sink in. Somebody did come up with one. But yeah, we'll have to come up with that with the SCM bit so that you've got a base to go with that. Or I have as well, because it is so easily forgot. So do we have any questions about that demo before we move on to the next one and why I'm getting out the next demo? And did anyone answer me, Pete? What have they all been up to today? Anyone done anything exciting?
Not that I see. Someone has been to the pub.
Oh, pub? That sounds good. We can
I'm worried because they missed the beginning of your thing.
Oh, don't worry about that. Honestly, you can always go back and catch up. You can go back and catch up on here after we've finished, I believe. I don't even know if you can do it when we're live. You might be able to go back to the beginning when we're live. I don't know. I don't do technology, you know that. But if you can't, then when it ends, you can go back and watch it. And as long as Facebook doesn't steal it, which they have done once, but they did give it back, so that wasn't the end of the world. But if they don't steal it, then we can upload it to YouTube, and Zoe tends to upload them like tomorrow, so it's not very long, and then you can watch them on YouTube as well. Although people do tell me that the quality isn't as good on YouTube. I don't know why. That's where technology goes over my head a little bit. But if you want to watch them on YouTube, then you can catch up on there after the event as well. I'm trying to find a stamp press. If I look like I'm just spinning aimlessly, I'm pretty sure around here somewhere I will have a stamp press. I've got a big one. Don't panic. We can use this one, Pete. Thank you. So what we're going to do next is, if there's no questions going on, we are going to play around and we're going to make this card next. Now, this is one I've wanted to make for absolutely ages. We had a kit done for this for the TV or for Highlight, and we never quite got to actually show it. And I've really been looking forward to making this card because I think it's a really fun one to show you. So what we're going to do to begin with is we're going to bring in our Floral Melody stamp. This is from the Floral Wonder collection, and we're going to put our piece of card down in our stamp press. Let's go for over there, actually. Oh, got a little heart. Where's that come from? Honestly, my stamps are always such a mess. I'm going to pick this up and we're going to stamp on this. I've lost my magnets. I think they're in the other press, so we're just going to have to roll with it. We'll put it over to that side in case it moves. And we're going to go for, we'll use Squirrel Red ink for this. On my one, I used the black ink, but we'll use Squirrel Red because I love working in this colour, and I think these roses look really, really pretty stamped out in red. And we'll give this a little impression so you can see how this is going to look. Does anybody else confess what they'd like on their Christmas list?
Just a lot of your card, dies, everything. They want it all.
Oh, that's nice to hear. That's lovely to hear. Thank you, guys.
I quite fancy Jean's making a pie, a meat pie for dinner. That's not boring at all.
That's not boring.
Oh, that sounds good. I'll be round in about an hour.
Jean might live further than an hour from us, Pete. I hate to sort of scupper your plans, and I'm happy to get rid of you for the evening.
I love a homemade meat pie. Ooh.
You do, don't you? So this is all stamped out for us. How beautiful is that? How lovely is that? Love this stamp. And I know I'm biased, so forgive me for sort of confessing my love for my product, but I do love how this one come out. I think it's so beautiful and so pretty and got so much going on with it. What I would then do is I would bring in our circular frame dies. Now you can cut your panel out first if you want to, and I'd probably recommend you do cut your panel out first so you've trimmed around it. But we would bring in a few of these, and these are the ones where they cut and they leave you the perfect frame, and that's quite important. So we would bring these in and we would place these over the top. And I'm not going to do it because you don't want to watch me do everything, do you? That's going to be boring. So we'll bring that down, we'll put that one about there maybe. We'll bring one of these up there, put the little one off the side there. And then I'm conscious I've got a couple of gaps, so maybe that one there and this one over here, something along them lines. Bearing in mind we've trimmed down the panel already, so you've got it like that size. Lay all those in place, send it through your machine and let it cut out. And even if you don't want to anchor everything down with masking tape, do it on your magnetic mat or on your magnetic sheet and then just lay this on randomly. It doesn't have to be anchored down, but you can anchor that bit down if you want to. But send it through your machine. And what that's going to do for you is it's going to cut out all the perfect circles, because that's of course what the joy of this die set does. And it's also going to cut out for you all those perfect, in this case, gaps really, for want of a better term. And it's the gaps that we're going to take advantage of. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring in this panel so you can see it. So when it's gone through, that's what we've created, this sort of Swiss cheese looking panel. And we're going to bring in the piece that it's going to go onto, and we're going to use some of our glue to hold this down in place. So a little bit of glue around all of the areas that we're keeping. Now I'm going to set Pete a mission here. There is another card made with the scraps of this one. I think you're going to know which one I mean. And it's going to be in the tub just behind you. Do you mind having a look, see if you can find it for me, Pete, please? Because I meant to dig it out and I totally forgot.
It's not that one, is it?
No, it's going to be in the tub. I didn't have a kit for that one, or if I did, we've done it.
Sorry.
No, don't apologise. So now we've stuck that down in place, we're going to bring back in all of these pieces that cut out. So we have got all of these rings, and we can bring them in. And this is good to do this way, because we can bring this in and we can find where the pattern matches, and we can put them into the place that we need them to be. So we're going to give that a little spin around so we can see that there's where the rose goes. So we can see that. And then we're going to bring in the piece, the centre comes out of it. And I've already gone ahead and put some 2mm foam tape on the back of this one. And then we're going to match that up and place that exactly in place to where that picture meets. And then we can take away that excess panel. And we've now got that perfectly spaced into the centre of that area. And this bit, don't bin this, because I'm going to show you what you're going to do with that in a moment as well. Nothing's wasted. We're going to do exactly the same down here with this one. So we know really where that's going to go because of what it is. And we're going to bring in the next piece and we're going to match that up. But it's just handy because it shows you then where your spacing is, so you know that you're maintaining your border around the edge here and everything's in the right place. We're then going to bring this bit in. We're going to repeat exactly the same again. So I have a feeling that's going up to there. So yeah, we're in place for that one. And we're going to bring this one into here and match that up. So that one. Have you found it, Pete? You've gone very quiet.
Too many cards.
Kind of alarming.
You make too many cards.
We do make too many cards, don't we? We have hundreds of cards. And that's something else. Before I let you all go tonight, remind me to show you some of the samples I've got from Wendy. I've got loads of samples from Wendy off to one side. I want to share them with you before I let you go. I always feel if you see them on a live, you sort of get to see them slightly better than you do in photos. I might be wrong. But to me, it's kind of nice to be able to share them with you as they arrive here as well. So it's just, again, a bit more inspiration that you might not yet have seen. That will hopefully help you as well. I'm going to place that one down. And then we've just got one more to go just for this top corner. And hopefully by then, Pete might have found the card I'm on about. It's a DL card and it's done in blues and greys, if that helps, Pete.
Would you say it's made with a scratch?
That's the one.
Is that the one?
Yeah, thank you. And I think, see, this is showing my memory. I told you it was DL, didn't I? It's not at all.
No.
Completely sending you off on a tangent that doesn't exist.
Good.
So we'll take all of them bits out of the way. For speed, I've gone ahead and stamped Best Wishes. And we're going to bring this in and stick it down here. This is off the floral lace sentiment set. There is, on the original, this card, the Best Wishes is from the Rose, I believe, in the Floral Wonder collection. But that's nice because it shows 2 different fonts. And then we're going to bring in our Elegant Butterfly and we're going to place that off, just joining up the circles slightly. And then we'll bring in a couple of mats and layers to go underneath this, and then we'll show you the other one that we've done with the waist bit. Now, I like to give you a measurement so that you know what you're heading for if this is a card you'd like to recreate. So size-wise, this one is 4.5 inches by 9 inches to give you a guide. And then we're going to bring in black and blue layer. So again, we've got Raven Black and Seashell Blue for the mats and layers. And we're going to place that down onto the white one. And then we're going to bring this one in and place it on the top. And I've added again some 2mm foam tape to the back of this one, just to give it a bit more height. We'll place that down in the centre-ish. And that shows you how you could create these sort of window cards where everything's matching up. Your pattern still coordinates from one layer to the other, but yet you've got that little break point. Now you might choose to do a patterned paper underneath this. You might choose to put photos in the middles of these instead. But to me, that was just quite a fun way to take a stamped image, cut it all apart, and then put it all back together again. And although we've done this with the circles, you could have done this with the squares if you prefer. But it's kind of a nice way to play around and make up some fun backgrounds without actually having to do too much, because the dies kind of do it for you. And then the negative bits, these bits that we took out here, for this card, showing you how the two come together, I've stamped exactly the same pattern again, and then I've brought these in and I've layered these where they come from. So we'll try and match one of these up at least. So I've matched it up and I've glued them on, and I've done this with all of them, all of the different pieces. I've brought them in, found the relevant place on the pattern, glued them on, and then I've taken some inks, and this was with the blue ink and the grey ink, which is Elephant Grey and Blue Emperor, and I've gone over the top of the panel to highlight them. And by sticking these on first of all, they're of course the top layer, so they take on the ink more prominently. So this ends up slightly more grey, and around the edges you get more of a shadow, which I kind of liked. And then I used a white gel pen to go in and add a few details into the flowers and the foliage to just break that up and bring in the white from the underneath panel. But it's a way that you can use the circles that you're left with, as well as using your main panels to build up your first card. So hopefully that's a different idea for you, slightly different technique than you might have seen us do with the circles before, because usually we show you those interlocking because they've got that ability as well. But actually this I thought was kind of fun. So we'll give this one away too. So that's our second card for our giveaway. So don't forget, if you haven't already, tell us in the comments what you'd like from Jamie Rodgers Crafts under your Christmas tree this Christmas morning, and somebody will be chosen to win the cards that we make tonight. And that's demo 2 completed. Should we do another one? I think we've got time to do another one, haven't we? Should we do a third?
Kim was just asking, she's Kim Deer, our lovely Kim Deer. She's said she shied away from buying the repeat pattern type stamps. Can you show her, just run through it?
Of course we can.
How they work.
So let's bring in a stamp press. And we're actually, I'm going to show you the one we just used actually, because we're going to use another repeat pattern stamp for the next demo. But I think it's going to be more interesting to show you with this stamp because of the way it is. It's the next one we're going to use is the snowflake one. So it is a repeat pattern stamp and it is a pattern match stamp, but it's not quite as intricate as this one. So we'll show you with this one because I think that's more important. And I want you to see more of how it works. So I'm going to take I've put it back on the right camera so you can see us. So we're going to take the stamp and we're going to take the card and we're going to put the card in. And I haven't got magnets for this one. This is bad planning. I really should have magnets. But we're going to place that down roughly there on the edge of our card. And I'm doing it on this stamp press in this format because we've got sides on these two sides. And if I overlap the card over them and then stamp, I might damage the card, I might get ink on the card, I might make a groove on the card. So instead I'm going to push that up to one edge and I'm going to roughly, we'll go right the way down to the edge actually because that's going to help me later. So I'm matching the edge of the stamp with the black mat underneath, and then we're going to pick this up Now there might already be some ink on here because I haven't cleaned it, so it's not the end of the world if we get a little bit of an impression. But we'll come back to this and we'll bring in, I've hid my red ink. Here we go. So we're back to our squirrel red ink, just because that's what's already on here. We'll ink that up nicely. And then we'll bring that over and push that down to make our first impression. Now the pattern match stamp, if you've never seen these before, if there's anyone who's new to this concept, the pattern match matches in all 4 directions. So you don't have to be stamping in this way. You might have chose to go up the A4 instead of across the A4, for instance. So there's no reason why you have to do this exactly as I am. Literally the design matches from the bottom, both sides and the top. So there's no reason you can't stamp as big as you want to stamp. You could literally stamp your wallpaper if that's what you'd like to do. Now, while I'm talking, I've done this all wrong because I've taken the stamp off, which is fine. Now, if I was doing this for me, I would clean this stamp, so it's perfectly clean, but nobody wants to watch me clean stamps. So we're going to bring this in and we're going to lay this joining to the stamp that we've just done. Now, I'm going to try and lift this up without moving anything so you can see what I mean. But you can I don't clean my stamps, so forgive me. But you can pretty much see that everything's joined to where it needs to be. So we'll then pick up the stamp again and we'll re-ink and apply. And if there is a slight miss between them, then I don't think that's the end of the world. So if you do it and you've got a slight gap or a slight, to me, that's where we put a ribbon and cover the join. But the nice bit is the pattern is still running across your pattern. It's still matching. But if we can get it spot on, even better. And a lot gets covered when you colour as well. And I tell you this because if it doesn't go quite to plan, don't get rid of it, just colour it. But like you can see here, we have the perfect match. I'm really trying to study this, but I can't actually see a join line there. I don't know if any of you guys can, but I can't. And that's the beauty of having the stamps that match. If you line it up, and I do tend to over edge it just slightly when I'm doing them, I'd prefer I double stamp a slight bit than have a gap. So again, play, experiment, see how you get on. If and I moved my stamp because I was talking and me talking and working are not always the best combo. But if I'd kept this, so when I said we'll start off, and we'll start this off on the edge to the black mat, just to give you a different way of doing this, because it's nice to cover different ideas. If we then stamp that down, so we stamped the first one, and it's not in the right place, and I haven't inked it, so forgive, but I'm just trying to show you a quick idea. So we stamped the first one down. If we then slide this across to the edge of the black mat, then go back in again, and know I'm in the right place, because of the black mat has been my edge for me. The black mat's matching up with the side of the stamp. So again, and I didn't ink, but you're going to see there, we're spot on where we need to be. And that's a really quick way of doing this. So you can just then keep moving your card along, matching it to the black edge and coming down and pushing it down again. And then of course, this top bit, if you do want to do the top bit, then you can just move how you're doing your stamping and start stamping those top bits as well. So I would put it in that way, I suppose, and go from there and then go across that panel instead. So you can do your top bits as well. So I hope that's answered you. If it hasn't, then let me know and we'll run through it again, because that's genuinely what these lives are about. I'll always have demos to show you, but if I can answer some questions and give you some tips, that's much more important. And you've possibly seen these before, but to anybody who hasn't seen the pattern matching going on, and can we see the Christmas one as well, Pete? I love the Christmas one.
Like a kid.
I am like a kid. I love the Christmas pattern. This is the floral melody one, and these are backgrounds done with them. And this one is again done the same way, and I'm just going to try and see if I can find it. Somewhere when I did this one, it didn't quite match, and there was a slight gap. I thought it was this one. It might not be this one, but I thought there was a slight gap somewhere. But when you colour it, your colouring distracts. You've really got to study to find the odd mil difference somewhere if you do have an odd mil difference. Here we go. So that flower there, if you look really closely, in the middle of it, there's a slight gap. Can you see the gap? Pete's shaking his head, he can't see it. I'm going to try and highlight it then for you because I want you to see it.
You can't ruin a good page.
No, I'm not going to ruin it. I'm just going to put something on it. So beside the edge of that flower, I'm going to bring that in close. Can you see there is a slight line in the middle where it's missing? And it runs down between the leaves. The next leaf is slightly off.
Oh yeah.
But you know what? You don't notice that, do you? I would.
You'd have to study, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you'd have to really, really intently study. And to be honest, whenever we're doing it, these are backgrounds. So we're going to bring in things and cover them bits up. And I highlight the areas that I weren't happy with, because when you stamp it, if you stamp it and there's a 2 mil gap, don't panic about it. Colour it in. Nobody will see it. Another trick as well with this panel is the script stamp running through the background. If you've done a bit of a bodged job and it's gone kind of awry, don't panic. Stamp something else over the top of it, and you won't notice it even more, because you're building your textures, you're building your depths. So I don't think it will show. But this is just if things don't go quite to plan. Then this one is our poinsettia melody version, which again matches up and creates bigger backgrounds to whatever size you want to work with them. I love these. We haven't got any plans yet, have we? I don't think there is no more planned for these yet. So let us know if you've got them, and this is a genuine question and a genuine honesty. We haven't got any more planned. I'm giving it thought. There's none on our board showing. Pattern match stamps. Do you like them? Would you like more of them? If you would, let us know, and I will factor them into next year's releases, because I genuinely have found them a bit of a game changer in how I can stamp, what my limitations are, and where I can take them off to. So if you like them, let us know. We always go by that. Genuinely, your comments mean the world to us in all senses, because if you're enjoying working with something, we can do more of it. There's no reason why we can't. So, talking of doing more, should we do another demo quickly? Let's play with this one, and we will do a bit more festivities, because we spoke about Christmas, and I know that Christmas was high on the agenda today. So we'll bring in some more Christmasness, which I'm sure isn't a word, but it is now. We'll have some more Christmasness. So for this one, we're going to bring in our pattern match stamp of our snowflakes. Now, you've just watched me doing quite a lot of stamping, so you've probably got the idea of this. But exactly the same again, I would take that stamp, I would ink it up with our Blue Emperor ink pad. I love this shade of blue because it just really is quite Frozen-esque, I suppose. And stamp that stamp, and then move it along and stamp it again. Move it along. You've got the idea, I'm sure. With this stamp, not only can we stamp the snowflake, and I'm trying to find it because I've got one here somewhere, I'm sure. We can also stamp the straight line stamp. Oh, here it is. So the straight line stamp matches up perfectly with the snowflake stamp. So again, if you've not seen this ability before, this is kind of cool. This stamp, which just stamps straight lines, fits perfectly over the top of the snowflakes. Now, you don't have to use them together, and there are stencils that we bought out of Christmas designs that also fit between the lines as well, and there is more coming to go between the lines next year. But actually stamping over the top and adding that between the snowflakes is kind of cool, and I'd show you that, but I've already got foam tape on the back of this, so hopefully that helps. But it's a cool way that you can do them. Sheila says, not tried them yet, but would like them, especially as you can fit any size of paper. Yeah, that's genuinely what I feel with them. I feel that because if we can go off into scrapbooking, we can do our boxes out of them, we can do everything we want out of them. There's no real limitation to where we stop with it. I often joke about this, but you could literally do your wallpaper if you wanted to. It's just about the size of the canvas you're working on more than the limitations, which are normally the stamps. So card-wise for this one, we're working on a store-bought 8x8, so it's just under, it's 7 3/4, typical out of a packet card blank. And then we've gone on with a piece of Night Sky Navy in 7.5, and then we'll bring in the snowflake panel, which will be 7 1/4. And we're going to place that one down on there. We're then going to bring in a smaller panel of the Night Sky Navy to house our Father Christmas. But in this kit, I decided that actually I'd try and show you something different to Father Christmas. Although I love Father Christmas, this is the lovely Father Christmas I'm on about. I thought we'd bring in Rodney because we haven't used Rodney for a while. So this panel, exactly the same as the one we did earlier with the Snow Flurry stencil using the diamond white texture base over the polar white card. But what I did across the bottom here is I just took the palette knife and went literally down the base of it to build up a row of snow. So it looks like the snow has fallen and landed on the ground so that it gives a bit more level to where Rodney or Father Christmas is standing. And we'll bring this one in and we'll place that on the top here. Now these panels are rectangles, not squares. So I'll give you a bit of an idea of these. This one is 4.5 inches by 5 inches. And then the layer beneath is obviously 1/4 inch larger. So we've got Father Christmas. We could bring him in and put him on there. Or we have Rodney. Now, what do you prefer? What do you think's better? Father Christmas or Rodney? Which one do you want on this one? Let's see who answers first and we'll go with whatever you say first. Rodney, Father Christmas, your choice. While we're waiting for the first person to answer, I'll bring in our sentiment and stick that on instead. Oh, Mary's in first with Rodney, so Rodney it is. Oh, look at you all go for Rodney. Poor Father Christmas. He's been proper victimised. Nobody wants Rodney. Okay. Oh no, nobody wants Father Christmas, sorry.
They all want Rodney.
I got confused by the Todney.
Todney?
Todney.
Is there a Todney?
Diane said Todney. I like Todney. That could be cool. We could have Rodney and Todney. I like that. So we'll bring in Rodney and we'll place him down in the snow, going up there. Now, if we've got somebody new watching, Rodney is our snowman. He was our first snowman that came out this year. Is our dear Rodney. Next year there will be new additions. I haven't designed them yet or even given much thought, but Rodney will have to have a family because Rodney has been so popular this year. We're going to have to bring out more to go with him. So next year, watch out for more Rodneys. But that completes that little card and gives you a little idea of what that one looks like. And then, of course, you've got the Father Christmas if you prefer. I think, bizarrely, this one needs a ribbon wrapped around it. I might try and do that before I send it because I just feel like there's a gap this side. I feel because Father Christmas was looking to the right, it didn't need it. But because Rodney's looking to the left, I think it needs something more. I might be on my own on this. But I might add a white sheer ribbon around that to fill it in. But we'll see. Whoever wins it, that'll be a surprise. You might get a ribbon, you might not. But of course, it also could have been Father Christmas just as nicely and would give us a different perspective on that as well. And then I don't know why, but in my little pack, I've also got a Rodney that's coloured in yellow and red, which is kind of cool as well. So I'll put that in there as well. So whoever wins can have a yellow and red Rodney to go with their completed Rodney too. So any questions about that one? Oh, Mary, Rodney melts my heart. That's cool, isn't it? I like that. Cute.
Think of a sentiment you could have with it.
I was trying to work out if we could have that. It might be a bit weird though if we start doing Rodney sentiments to the people who receive them and have no idea who Rodney is. So, but yeah, I like that. That would be kind of cool. Oh, Diane, don't apologise. I like the Todney. I thought that was good. And don't ever apologise about spelling mistakes or mistakes on me. Oh, Lordy. You could have a full-time job checking what I write and do wrong in a day. Pete does, bless him. Whenever Pete's here, he's my chief spell checker. So no worries there. But I like Todney. I thought that was cute. Todney. Okay, how long have we been going? Have we bored these poor people to tears yet? Should we leave them in peace to have their evening? Or should we fit in another demo? What do you guys think? Do you want another demo? Or do you want to be left in peace till next week? Let us know. Rodney's wife could be Rosella. Yeah, Rosella's nice. We had a competition for Rodney's, was it wife or daughter? I can't say, my memory's terrible. But I can remember somebody won and we called it Rosie. It was definitely Rosie. I can remember Rosie because I thought my nan's name was Rosie. I thought that was kind of nice. So there will be a Rosie enter this year's Rodney lineup, I'm sure. But we do need to come up with some other names for some more. So yeah, no, Rodney's lovely. He's such a cutie, isn't he? So there's got to be more cute this year, I think.
One other question Diane asked earlier, which I didn't go to, Diane Williams, just about how long it takes to plan, how far in advance you plan your collections.
Oh, Diane.
And then I'm thinking to your board.
Every week we chat about our boards, don't we? So behind where the camera is in our very little room, it's only a tiny little room that we're in today. Oh wait, really? But tiny little room. And behind the camera, literally, are notice boards. I can't show them to you because it'd give away next year's plans. And you would see them. I have checked on a camera because I often talk about these and I'd like you to see them because it's kind of cheeky not showing you. But if I show you, you'd see everything before coming up next year, or for the first 6 months, and that'd be really boring because then there'd be no surprises. But that sort of answers your question. So there are boards up on the wall, and we plan out every month and every release for next year. And we're currently up to about April-ish, roughly. There's a few bits lurking that are undecided, and a few more ideas that haven't yet made it to the boards that are still sort of in the early processes. But yes, us as a company, we are sort of 5-6 months in advance. Being honest, we were further in advance than that until Create and Craft sort of went belly up, and then that threw a bit of a spanner into the works, and we had to regroup and work out what we was doing and where we was going and how we was going to move forward. Not as a negative, just as an honest truth. Before that, we was kind of at the same time period, weren't we? And then everything kind of went on halt, and we're now just picking up again. We're just about, the cogs are turning again, things are coming back through and samples are re-arriving, and we're back to sort of trying to work further in advance because of, and Diane knows this, Diane's on the Creative Expressions design team, as I'm sure many of you know. There's so much going into bringing out a collection. And I don't think I ever even appreciated that. Even when I used to design for Creative Expressions, there were still steps that went in way before me, if that makes any sense. And now to actually start it from beginning to end and see just how long that takes. And then how many things come along that derail them plans. And I'm not going to tell you too much because that wouldn't be fair. But we have a delivery that's been due now for what? You're looking vague.
Couple of months.
Probably a couple of months.
Give away. I thought a spoiler was coming out.
No, there's no spoilers really, because I'm not going to tell you, because we won't launch it now to next year. But there's been a delivery that we've been waiting on for a couple of months, and it just keeps being delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed. And now we're watching out the window tentatively, hoping it's going to arrive literally any day. The final bits of paperwork have gone through, so it should soon arrive, but we won't release that now till next year. But yeah, so things have to happen quite a way in advance. We had one box of, what was that went missing? Oh, ink pads. We had one box of ink pads that went missing in Hong Kong. Never did turn up. And these things do happen. So yeah, we have to try and be quite in advance to make sure that we can meet our deadlines and meet our sort of arrivals. And our poor DT, and Diane again probably knows all about this from her DT, but our DT, and they've kind of been given this week, haven't they? They've been told that, and they're great, and there's no pressure from us. And I know they're watching, so no pressure from us. But they've kind of been told we've got 2 weeks till TV, and the samples have just arrived, and that's kind of short for us. We much prefer to give them longer when we can. It doesn't always happen, does it, team? But we try to. And sometimes things just kind of get delayed a little bit, but we try. So yeah, in answer to your very long-winded, waffly question, about 6 months is how we aim to be, and at different times we're further in advance, and at the moment kind of a little bit behind on that. But that's where we want to be, that's where we need to be. Any other questions while I'm just waffling endlessly, Pete? You need to learn to throw things at me to shut me up, because I'll just waffle forever.
No, I don't think so.
So I see that lots of you have said another demo, so we'll just do another little demo, shall we? So, and this will be our last one. I said to Pete tonight, it'd be lovely to give away 4 because we don't often get to give away more than 2. So we're going to do this one, and you might have seen a lot of this week because we did demos with this collection on Craft Stash, and we did demos with this collection on Highlight. But you know what? Actually, going back to it, because it's been a couple of months since this one came out, I've really fallen back in, I'm not fallen back in love with it, that's wrong, I never left love with it, but I forgot how enjoyable this collection is to play with, and I've really enjoyed this week of getting back and playing with it, and seeing how it all comes together again, because if you kind of move on and you go to the next collection and the next collection, and actually to revisit this one a couple of months after its release, has been really good fun. So we'll do another demo with the Kaleidoscope collection. So I'm sure many of you have seen this already. This is our lovely Kaleidoscope collection. And in our Kaleidoscope set, you receive 8 different dies, all with different segments. And you have got outside, I know what I haven't done, Pete. We're like an hour into this, and I know the bit I haven't done. Sorry, stockists. If any of our stockists are watching, I know you wait for me to ask you to do this because you're very, very polite and very, very nice. If our stockists are with us tonight, pop a comment in the write-up box, whatever, comment box, and let us know that you're with us, and give us a link to the page where you want to find all of the bits that we're talking about tonight. And I know you've probably all been waiting very patiently for me to do that, and I'm very sorry because you possibly didn't want to be here all this time. But if you are with us and you would like to drop a comment with a link to your page or your website, on my page, if you've got a dedicated page to us, then please do. And this applies to all of our stockists around the world. As I know, I do keep pleading on about this, but we're doing really well at the moment. We've got a few new stockists coming on board in America. We've got another new one coming on board in Australia. And as you're all coming on, and of course our UK stockists, please do drop a comment in there to show that you're with us. And then everyone knows where to find this stuff that I'm chatting about endlessly, because I'm sure, as you're all aware, we don't sell direct here at Jamie Rodgers Crafts. We do it all through our stockists, and we like to work with them. So thank you, stockists, if you are with us, and please do give us them links so that we all know where to go to buy these items. So then, back to it. Our pizza die, as I like to call it, is our kaleidoscope set. 8 different segments, 8 different outer edges, and we are going to bring together just the outer edges this time to cut out. So I would take all 8 of these and I would send them through my machine at once. So I end up with 8 pizza slices, triangles, segments, whatever you wish to call them, to layer up on top of. And because I would cut these out of white card for this project, this is what I would end up with, is our white bits. Now I'm going to show you this actually. I said about Wendy's samples, didn't I? And you might have seen the reel for this. This is something really cool created with this collection. And if you haven't seen the reel, you might really like this. I'm absolutely in love with this card. Wendy on Our Lovely DT has done it. She's cut down slightly. So let's give you some measurements. I think Wendy's blogged this, or is blogging this, so I don't want to tell you too much. But she's used an 8x8 card. This is one of our pebble grey card blanks. And I'm going to tell you this again, these are discontinued. When they're gone, they're gone. So if anybody's got any of these left in stock, when they're gone, they're gone. We cannot get them anymore. I love these pebble grey card blanks because they're so just a subtle colour to work with and fun to work with and modern and different to what you might be used to. So these come in again like all store-bought card blanks tend to, at 1/4 under 8 to begin with. Wendy has then trimmed about 3/4 of an inch off the front of it. And I really like the way her attention to detail, where she's even taken the corner off. So the corner is full on the inside and goes all the way around, but actually on the outside, she's trimmed that off. So it's slightly shorter, but matches up with the corners in these corners, funny enough. Then for the front here, she's used the scallop circle, which comes with the die set, and she's cut that out, and then she's cut one of the triangles out of it to create this little reveal. And the reason she's trimmed down the front is so that you've got an edge to touch that wheel. Hopefully you can see it, to touch the wheel and move it. So you can literally spin it to reveal all of the different sections. Now Wendy's chose to do hers with the stencils. So the stencils have come into play with the texture paste, and the colours all really nicely coordinate throughout the flowers and the different bits that are on the project. But you could have die cut into these. You could have used the filigree pieces, all of these bits that we've got without the outside edges. You could, if you prefer, choose to cut those in. You could even back them with different colours. There's loads of ways you could do this, but it's about creating that little spinning wheel. And I thought that was really, really cool, and one I wanted to make sure I shared with you tonight. So once you've got your sections, going back to our card, we're going to bring in our stencils. Now I've got a brand new set here, I believe. So, I've dug one out already. Let's go for this butterfly. Now my little top tip with this, which I'm sure you've seen before, is to use your masking tape to go down the side of it. So all I'm going to do is use some low tack masking tape to go down either side of the stencil to just mask off that. I would do, if I could keep it, I would have it. Come back. Easier said than done, eh? And then we're going to do exactly the same on the back. And this just means I've got a side to either anchor down if I'm using a magnetic sheet or a magnetic mat. And equally, it means that I can be a bit more messy with my texture paste and not worry that my texture paste is going to go over the sides and onto the segment. And we'll do exactly the same on this side, just to protect that. And then we've got our perfect bit that we can hold on to. We can move this around without having to touch the middle part, without having to touch the texture paste, and without worrying that we're going off on the wrong tangent. We'll bring in a bit of black card so you can see what we're working on. And we're going to bring in, I think, is this one open? Yeah, we'll use some of our red texture paste. So this one is called Ruby Red. We're going to hook out underneath the lid here. And we're going to bring out a small amount of that. And we're going to line this up over the top. Now again, if you've got one of those magnetic boards You've even got a stamp press. If you haven't got a magnetic board and you've remembered to bring your magnets up, which I haven't tonight, hence what I mean, but you can hold it down in your stamp press. It doesn't have to be one of the fancy magnetic boards. A stamp press works brilliantly for this as well. And then we're going to go down over the top of that, take away the excess. Really don't need to have brought out as much as I did, but you know, nevertheless, it doesn't really matter. And we're going to take away the excess part here. And then we can take off the outside edge and reveal our little panel. I said we was going to have a blue night, didn't I? And I've gone and used red, but never mind. It's nice to share with you. And then there is your stenciled effect over the top of your panel. Now again, and I keep doing this, this is sort of the week of doing this, but if you've got your texture paste and you're not happy with it, if you've smudged it, you've moved it, it's in the wrong place, you can just take it away. So you probably wouldn't want to use the same segment panel you've just created, because you're probably going to want to flip this over or die cut another one. But I tell you this more because, and I'm all about this, you know, when you look at the jars, and they're really good value jars and they're priced competitively, I'm not moaning about what we've done or how we do it or why we're doing it, or we physically couldn't make them any cheaper or any better value for you. We genuinely squeeze every penny we can into bringing you the best value we can do. But however you dice it, if you make something and you're not happy with it, the amount of product that you put out is going to cost you a few pennies. If we can take that away and put it back in the jar and use it on another project, that's money you've saved. Just in case sometimes things go wrong, we all do it. Sometimes we smudge things, move things, not happy with the result, do it and think we should have used a different stencil. It's nice to see that you can take it away and you can put it back into the jar and you can use it another day. And to me, that's really important. So we're going to take our stencil now. Now, again, you've probably heard me about this before, but on our stencil, we have got the engraved line to match in with our circle die. Now, the circle die, the scallop circle die, comes within the set. So hence why it's on the back of the stencil. So we're going to hold that down and then we can flip this over and know that we're in exactly the right places to put our segments in place. Now, this was our lovely Lynn on our design team who came up with this idea, but I think it's a really good idea that we can do this and know that everything is equally spaced. Have I missed any comments? I'm sure I probably have, Pete. Oh, Kim's on here. I hope it's okay to post this on behalf of Craft Bliss, but I don't think Julia Barry are on here tonight. Of course it's okay. Craft Bliss are one of our amazing stockists. We've got about 14, I think, here in the UK currently, haven't we? But Craft Bliss are one of our amazing stockists. Julie and Barry are lovely people. You get this from time to time, and I'll be honest, they've been so lovely. Some of the ways they've tried to work with us and help support us here, especially as a new company, and this is kind of important because there's so many different craft brands out there, and stores have so many choices of who they go to and what products they like to stock, obviously. And for us to have come along new into the market and to be able to pick up a stockist and have their support has been really lovely. And they've really, genuinely, people agree with me on this, they've worked with us really well, haven't they? They've spoke to us about products they feel are missing from the market, that they would like to see us stock, which is something our ears are always open to, because nobody knows what you need as a stockist more than you. You know, and I'm lucky, I've had a shop and I've been in retail for 20 odd years now in the craft world. So yeah, we've got our own ideas, but actually you don't know everything. Nobody knows everything. And to hear the bits they're after and the bits that they want and the bits that they feel that could support them has been really lovely, because we've been able to work with them and bring out items at times that we know is going to benefit them, all just for having a really good relationship with Craft Bliss and being able to sort of have that open dialect and see what they're after and what we can do to help them. And one of the items I can tell you about that's already out and revealed and here is our large glue that I shared with you earlier. It was Craft Bliss that reached out to us and said, you know what, we could really do with larger bottles of glue, because they teach workshops and they wanted larger bottles to be able to decant into the smaller bottles for better value for money for their classes. And it was those, Julie and Barry, who reached out to us and asked us to do that made that happen. So we really do like to work with our stockists and you lot, of course. It's not just about stockists, everybody. But if there's something you feel is missing from the market, stockist, watcher, customer, whoever you may be, let us know. We can't always do everything, but if we can do it, we'll do it, trust me. That's what we're about, is trying to join up the dots, isn't it? And if we can bring something to you that's going to benefit you or us, then we certainly will do. So I haven't brought up my little blending tool tonight, but usually I do this on a little mat. But I'm going to do it on my hand. You can do it on your hand, but as always, we just tell you to do a patch test before you put glue on your skin, because you might have a reaction to it, and that applies to any brand. I do this more than I probably should, but I try to avoid doing it when I'm on a live or on TV or anything, because I just think it looks messy. And plus, in a minute, I've got to move on and remember not to stick myself to whatever I'm picking up next. So it tends to be a bit of a silly idea. Where if I've got a blending mat to one hand, it's cleaner and easier. But I've gone ahead and I've put my corner in place as well. The corners also come with a die set. I've used the scallop square. This comes with a Cosmos die set, so that I'm using both scallops together. This card was designed before our nesting dies come out. We of course now have a whole scallop set of nesting dies in squares and rectangles currently, but there are more shapes coming. I'm not telling you any more than that, but there are more shapes coming. But these were done with the two that are coming out with this release. And then we're going to take the tape off the back of this one, and we're going to place it down onto the top of this. We've gone well over our time tonight, Pete, haven't we? There's me saying we'll only be an hour. And then we'll bring in a couple of flowers. Now we're going to bring these in, and I will chat to you about these a bit more in a second. But as I've got them here, we're going to bring them in and we're going to place them off to one side, and we're going to bring in some foliage and place these down. Now I often get questions about how I do these flowers, so it'll be nice to just show you those to complete this demo. So while these are setting in and drying, we'll chat about how to create these flowers, because they're again done with our gemstones texture paste. So it'll be nice to show you how they're created, just in case you've not seen it already. We're going to bring in a happy birthday, and we're going to place that going off. I'm going to go up for there actually, because I've got a little bit of excess paste on the tip of one of those. So that will complete, is that level? Yeah, I think, I don't know, I might move that down slightly. So that will complete our fourth demo of the evening, but I will show you how to do those flowers. Let's give you a quicker look at those, so you can, or a closer look at those, just in case you've not seen these glitzy flowers before. I really like these, and they're so easy to do. We're going to bring in one of the Cosmos flower die cuts. So I've already gone ahead and die cut these. I'm going to do it on black card just so you can see what I'm doing. And we're going to bring in a paintbrush, and we're going to find some texture paste. Oh, let's go for this one actually. This is our Violet Sapphire. So we'll open this out, and again we're just going to come into this tin bit here, and we're going to pick a small amount of this off. And I'd usually do this on one of our blending mats so I could pick it up easier, but I'm going to take it down so there's not too much on the brush, and I'm going to start in the middle, and I'm going to just bring that down the petals, and we're just going to work our way around the flower. And you can do this as light like this one, or as heavy as this one, and you can keep working it. So if you put too much on, you can work it so it sort of goes down slightly, but just keep going. I haven't hooked out quite enough, so we're going for a little bit more. A blending mat's a lot better because it's not going to try and absorb what you're working with at the same time than using a piece of card. And if you're working on a blending mat, this bit that goes off the top, this excess, can also then be used. You're not wasting any. Again, you want to save as much of it as you can. It's too good to not be using. And then once you've gone all the way around your flower, then I tend to go back in and I'll pick up a bit more, and against the tips, I'll just load the tip with it. And I'll work all the way around, just loading the tips. And it's a good way to clean your brush off anyway. So if you've got excess on your brush, instead of trying to get it off or washing it away or putting it into your water, just keep going all the way around and loading up the tips of each of your flowers. And then once they're done, you can then shape them however you want to shape them, however you normally shape your flowers, and create those sort of 3D flowers with them. And this can also, because it's water-based, if you feel that's too heavy and you want to dilute that down further, you can mix in some water with it on your palette or your glass mat or whatever you're working on, and then really take that down. So it's more like a light glaze, and that's fine to do so as well because they're water-based. Or if you prefer, you could mist in some of our Elite Mister and then colour it with another colour and end up with a two-tone flower. That works really nicely as well. So lots and lots of ways you can play around with them if you want to. But that gives you our fourth demo. So far then, what have we done? Or I say so far, that's it. We better go because I haven't even had dinner yet, have we, Pete? So I better stop waffling. But that will complete the 4 that we're going to send out to one lucky winner. So you've got your Floral melody panel with your elegant butterflies and your best wishes, your Merry Christmas, your snowflake corners, your gemstones texture paste, your snowflake stamp, your Rodney stamp, your cosmos flowers, your kaleidoscope panels. So hopefully when we asked on the poll earlier, what would you like to see inspiration from? Hopefully between all 4 of them, we've covered a little bit of all of the collections I mentioned that we could look at. And as I mentioned, stuck very much to a blue theme, which is kind of cool, isn't it? We don't often do themed nights, but it's nice to do a bit of a theme. Fran asks, what's the brush? The brush is literally just a I'm doing it again. There's always one time with one of these where I hold something up in front of my face and forget I ain't put it on the right camera. This is literally just a paintbrush, I think it's probably a Royal and Langnickel paintbrush, probably, I guess. But it's just a paintbrush. Nothing exciting. I've got one here that's got a slightly diagonal set of bristles, which kind of nice, but you could use any. I do tend to go for one that's going to be roughly the width of the petal, because then I'm not overloading too much and building up, sort of caking it down the edges. And I don't want to have to do loads of work to get it on. So one roughly the width of the petal is kind of a good idea, but not essential. But just play, see how you get on with what you got. But it's not a specialist one by any means. It's just one out of a random pot, to be honest with you. Hopefully that helps. Do we have any questions that I've missed, Peter?
No, I don't think so. Sorry if I have missed any of them.
If we've missed anything, then let us know. I will check back later this evening. So just comment again or give us a prod or tag us, and I'll go back and answer your questions for you in type. But hopefully you've had a nice evening with us and an hour or so of fun. It's always lovely to be with you, genuinely. Me and Pete both look forward to this, don't we? Every week we say it's kind of lovely to just sort of meet up and have a chat and hopefully show you some ideas and give you a bit of inspiration. And as always, if there's anything you'd like to see us feature on one of these, let us know. We usually put up a post, not next week, because next week's going to be a sneaky peek. So that will pretty much be filled full of what's coming and showing you samples. But normally, in the ones in between the releases, or the sneaky peek releases, then we're always here to help answer your questions. And we put up a post during the day to ask you if there's any questions that you might have. And if you can and you think of them, let us know in the comments, and then I can be prepared to share with you. I try to bring up everything I can think of from my craft room to the studio, but it's always nice to have a bit of pre-warning, because then that way I can make sure I've got what's on hand or what's needed to try and give you a bit of inspiration or answer your questions. But it is always lovely to be with you all. Pete, have you picked a winner? And if you haven't, you're going to have to, and I'll stop waffling and we'll leave these 4 people in peace.
I have. It's our lovely Judy Libel.
Oh, Judy, congratulations. We will send you all 4 of these cards. If you could please let me know your address, and if you can, would you like them signed? And if so, would you like all of them signed, one of them signed, or none of them signed? I don't mind, it's not a problem. It's more about what you're planning on doing with them. Last week's winner, who I think was Alison. Sheila. Alison was the week before, wasn't she, I believe?
I think her last name is Alison, isn't it?
Oh, I don't know.
Sheila,
no,
apologies. I think it's Sheila Alison.
But Sheila, who won last week, wanted one signed and one not. It's fine. Just let me know whatever you prefer, even which ones you want signed or not signed, and I will sign them and we will pop them in the post for you. Okay, I'm going to leave you in peace. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you for your company. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for asking your questions. And don't forget, next Thursday, genuinely really excited about this one. I think they're our prettiest eyes yet. Do you agree with that?
I do agree, actually. Yeah,
I think they're our prettiest eyes yet. And that's all I'm going to tell you. Little collection, lots to go with it. Launched on the 10th of December on Highlight Crafts. Sneaky peek next Thursday. Come and join us, and then that way you can get prepared for what you'd like or what you want to ask questions about, because we'll have it here and we'll be able to answer you. I might, and this is no pressure, I might even have some of the samples from the design team, and if we have, then we'll share them with you as well. Talking of which, I've just remembered I haven't shared Wendy's with you, and I promised I'd do that for you, didn't I? So I don't want to not do that. So let me just retrieve these from across my desk. I can't even get to all of them, but I do want to share these with you if that's all right. I've told you I'm going to go, and I've told Pete he can have his dinner, and now I'm going to hold you up again. but we're going to do this in like 2 minutes, I promise. I just like to share with you fresh inspiration. If I get it, I like to share it with you. This is one done by Wendy, where she's used her tile collection to go through and create the frames. I love the way she's used two together to make these little frame sections, and then brought the journaling panel out to the side. She's then used the tile stamps in the background to make up this sort of stripy background. Very cool. I like the way she's laid out where her title and date are going to go, and then brought in the flower for a bit of pop of colour. I'm sure that's going to tie in with the pictures or the colours that are in the pictures, but it's actually really nice how this is kind of just blue and white and really fun. The stripes remind me a bit of a football team, so possibly, you know, you could leave off the flowers if you wanted to, go down a football route with this. I don't know, I just think it's really pretty and a really cool scrapbook page, and one I wanted to share with you. Another one here done by Wendy, showing you the embossing done in the background with the tile stencils, and then again bringing up the stripe. I'm just spotting, Wendy, we've got a bit of a stripe going on here. I like it. But again, stripe with the 3 different elements from the tile collection on it. Very, very cool. This I thought was gorgeous. This is bringing in the elegant butterfly corners from the elegant butterfly oval, I think it is. I'm trying to remember the names now, to create the corner effects. The ornate stencil in the background here to make the embossing, and then the with love on the top. But I really like how Wendy offset and turned her squares into diamonds and went through the colours, and that little bit of gold really breaks it up, doesn't it? I thought it was very elegant. And then this one I was looking at earlier, and I know Wendy did a blog of this. I'm going to get those out of the way so you can see it a bit better. Wendy's done a blog of this. You'll find the blog on the Jamie Rodgers Crafts website. Free to join if you'd like to join it, and you can see how she's created this and the measurements to make it and what she's used. But do you know what? The more I've looked at this, the more I fell in love with it. Not only what she's created and where she's placed them, but the sheer ingenuity of actually how she's built it and what she's done to create it. I really want to make one of these. And I'll be honest, I was looking at this at about 6 o'clock tonight, trying to work out if I'd got time to go and make one before we went live, just because I really wanted to. Do you know how you see something and you think, I really want to go and make one of them? That was that feeling I had. It was really inspiring. And I just felt there were so many things we could do with it. And then I was trying to work out if we could bring in the tile dies and cut the tile dies into the panels. So in this area, cut the tile die and then hang the tile elements in the middle of the openings on some like clear string or cotton, and then have them twiddling in each of the sections was one of my ideas I had. But I love this, and I just feel there's so many ways you could take this. And it, of course, folds down flat so you can post it, which I thought was really, really cool as well. So if you've not seen this, look on the blog for that. Very, very cool. Another one done by Wendy here, showing you, and again, this was a blog, but I love these flowers. Pete walked in the studio earlier and said, them flowers are gorgeous, how have you done them? And I was like, Wendy's done them, aren't they cool? So yeah, another one done by Wendy. And then the last little bit from Wendy that I've got that I don't think I've yet shared with you is her MDF tag, showing how she's used the MDF panels on here and then built it up with the flowers and the roses and lots of different bits. But I thought these were really, really cool creations, and really glad to be able to share them with you and just give you a bit of inspiration created by Wendy. Okay, I promise I'm going to leave you now. But thank you very much for watching, all of you. Say good night, Pete.
Night all.
Night from
Thank
us.
you.
See you all again next week, when I'm sure we'll tease you with lots of new goodies and bring you lots of inspiration with a new collection. And I can't wait to share that with you. So I'll see you next Thursday, 7 p.m. Thanks all for watching. Bye from us too. See you soon.